The homosexual community cannot reproduce in and of themselves. So for them to have a community into the future, they do need your children.
Finally, guys, I have to talk about Andrew Tate. I'm not going to get into his whole shtick, but if you don't know who he is, he's a mega influencer, red pill, self-described alpha male influencer who is one of the most famous or infamous people on the internet. He recently sat down for a lengthy interview with Tucker Carlson, which I mentioned on the other podcast I do. I covered it there, the Based Politics podcast with my Based co-founder, Hannah Cox. So please go check it out if you want to hear our full take on the interview and the criminal allegations against Tate. However, in one portion of the interview, Tate wandered into territory that can really only be described as homophobic, and I want to address the anti-gay portion of the interview. So take a listen to what he had to say.
This is a video from a recent Pride March in New York, and I'm interested in your view of it.
So I have a few points on this. The first point is that it is an unfortunate reality, and I'm not going to be called a bigot. I'm going to talk about the reality that the homosexual community cannot reproduce in and of themselves. So for them to have a community into the future, they do need your children. That's how they think. For there to be a homosexual community in 100 years from now, they need straight people's kids, because only straight people have children. So they're telling the truth. That's the first thing. They mean what they say. The second thing is, I think a lot of this is an attention grab by them. I think they are slightly disappointed in how tolerant many people actually are. I have no problem with gay people. I don't care. I'm gay. Cool. I want to get married. Fine. I'm going to wave my dick in your kid's face. Wait a second.
Yeah.
They push it to a point where we have to react. And then when we react, they say we're bigoted.
So there's so much to unpack there. Look, I appreciate that Tate says he's fine with gay people and gay marriage, and I will take him at his word on that. But what he said about gay people and kids is just totally off base. First off, the idea that only straight people reproduce isn't really accurate. In fact, in particular, a lot of lesbian couples can reproduce through a sperm donor. And then some gay couples reproduce through a surrogate, but of course, and adoption. But that's all kind of a tangent. It's a rabbit hole. But what he said isn't true. The main thrust of Tate's comments here that the gay community needs to recruit children. And I know they played that one terrible video from a New York City Pride parade, but I already roasted that, and that's not representative whatsoever of the gay community at large. What he said there doesn't make any sense. First off, as a gay person, I've never thought or been concerned about ensuring there are gay people 100 years from now or reproducing as a community or anything like that, any more than I've worried that there won't be any people with brown hair in 100 years. Sexuality is a natural human variation. It just exists organically. It's not something produced or that has to be managed and passed along through the generations. I didn't know any gay people growing up. I had only maybe the most minor exposure to a few minor characters on TV that were gay or something. I had straight parents, straight step-parents, and I turned out gay. That's always what happens. So gay people don't need to groom or recruit children to join the community. Literally just future generations of people, there will be some who are born gay or lesbian. That's just how this works. So to use such a faulty explanation to assign this nefarious motive or scheme to the gay community is really unfair, and really it is, whether it's intentional or not, it's bigoted. I also have to call out Tucker Carlson here because when he wants to be, he can be a fantastic interviewer. We just saw him with Mike Pence and other GOP politicians, really exposing them and pulling out receipts, and he has that in him. But in this interview, he didn't point out any of these basic factual errors or inconsistencies in Tate's statements. He just nodded along like a lapdog. That's not journalism, it's sycophancy. I found this portion of the interview really gross and disappointing. I just wish that when people have massive influence, they were more careful about the things they said, because you can do a lot of harm when you spread false ideas and false information about communities that have been historically stereotyped or reviled. So please, folks, for so many reasons, don't go to Andrew Tate for your wisdom on societal or political trends.